Well, the cane is packed, and I think you might be able to see these lines around? Well, those are from the great big cylinder that I had rolled. So I cut it in half. I stuck it here, cut it away. And then ultimately, to make the cane square, which is what I wanted, I added 2 sheets, one to this side, one to this side. I also shortened the stem because I didn't want all of this black clay. And in order for me to make it square with a longer stem, well, that's a lot more clay around. So I trimmed it. I didn't think it was that important. Now I'm ready to reduce it. And the outside clay is very soft, and the inside, it's had a chance to gel up a little. So the way I will start this is just by taking my palm and pushing and rotating, then going to the other side, pushing, rotating. So I'm actually pushing the center down. And I'm just trying to activate the clay. I'm trying to get it moving. So, of course, I'll do it on all sides. And it's really too short to start twisting and torquing the clay, so I have to really get it moving first before I can add any length to the cane itself. But this really helps. It really helps get that center moving just by pressing with your palm like this. So the process really is making the cane shorter and then lengthening it, making it shorter to pull the center out. This is actually making it shorter, like so. But then when I push on the sides, I'm starting to give it some length again. I did try to make the feather clay a bit softer so that it would move a bit faster. All right, that's good. Now I'm taking the heel of my hands and I'm actually pushing the base like this. So I just pushed in at these points. But as I'm pushing, I'm also applying pressure down to the work surface. And when I do this, I'm trying to get that center clay right there on my work surface. I want it to stick to my work surface. And that's pretty good. You see, this part is pulling back a bit right here, but the actual feather itself seems to be coming up nicely. So let's do it on this side. So this cane is reducing pretty well, which says to me that the softness of the feather and the softness of the clay that I'm pushing against is just perfect. The clay on the outside seems to be just hard enough to take the pressure that I'm applying without totally turning to goop. If your packing clay is too soft, what will happen is it just starts moving all over the place and it doesn't apply pressure to the clay in the middle. And that's what I'm trying to do, is apply pressure to the feather that sits in the middle of this block of clay. So I have found that the clay to pack a cane should be somewhat harder than the clay in the middle. Now, it feels to me like the feather is still a little tough in there. You know, when I press, I can feel the actual feather clay. It's not just giving. But as long as I'm getting these ends like this, and they're not pulling way back into that packing clay, this is good. And I really think the suction from my work surface on the face of the cane is also really helping pull this clay out. And if it's not pulling it out, what it's doing is it's preventing it from pulling into the clay. And now, taking the heels of my hand, pushing against the bottom, and then rolling my palms up to the top. Turn it over, repeat. At this point, I can start working the sides just a little bit more. Now, reducing is one of those things that takes it takes a certain amount of strength, you know, and so as you work, you always have to be aware of how much effort you're exerting and on what part of your body. Because you can do damage if you pound too hard, like this. I was just pounding like that. Well, as I'm hitting the clay, I can feel that the shock going back up into my arms. That's not good. This is a better motion to use. Much, much less stressful on my body. You know, I'm not getting any younger. I can't be wearing parts out. So you young folks, just be aware, because you can do damage. I have seen it. You can see the center is soft at the ends. This is really nice. This side is a little stiffer, but not too bad. It's responding. So what happens is, once the clay is nice and soft, it just responds to the pressure in such a nice way, and that's when you can pull and stretch it, which is really the best way to reduce once you get it to that point. All right, let's smooth the sides. Refine our corners, and we can start flexing and twisting. And the center is feeling a lot softer and more fluid. Okay, now you will always have waste, always. But you can minimize the amount of waste you have. The worst thing you can do is start pulling a cane out before the clay is ready on the inside. And I'm stretching the center. I think you can see that. This even helps. Push it back in, push it in, pull it out, push, push, push. Now, as you reduce, it's a good idea to reserve a bit of your cane or some of your cane in its big state and not reduce the whole thing. You know, it's tempting to reduce the whole thing because it's easier, right? You don't have to, once you get this cane moving, then you can just, it all happens quite quickly. But it's better to have some of your cane in its large state. You can always reduce it later. Okay, let me cut some off and I'll save it for later. And there's our cane. And this I will continue to reduce. I'm not sure I have to keep showing you, but we'll just keep going. I'll go to 20 minutes. That's where I'll go. Because as I said, when the parts get so long, well, they take, where I live, it takes a long time to upload. I don't have the most reliable internet in the mountains, so I will cut at 20 and show you at the end. Yeah, it definitely helps at some point, like this size, it's about 1 inch. Now I start plugging the ends like so. And then letting the rest of it catch up. I see an air bubble somewhere. There it is. If you see an air bubble, just take a needle and pierce it. Okay, it's past 20 minutes, but I think I'm just going to keep going. Okay. Because this is where you start stretching. Woohoo! Woo-hoo! So I'm actually pulling with my left hand, pulling left, and with my right hand, I'm stroking and pushing and pulling to the right. where we are. And there's our reduced feather. That's a sweet little feather. And I think it'll make nice little beads. Okay, so that is this tutorial on making a feather cane, packing it, and preparing it to make beads. Now, if you don't know how to make the beads, I suggest you watch the square canes round beads tutorial, and that will help you make perfect little feather beads that are perfectly spaced with no gaps, like these. Okay, so thank you for tuning in to my channel, and if you liked it, please hit like, and if you like watching the tutorials, please hit subscribe. So until next time, bye.